Okay, so obviously the sexiest food of all time is French fries, but after you've had your fries, I think you should have some sexy dessert, right? Hello starlets, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the best version of yourself and live your dreams. So if you want to be an Everyday Starlet, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Today, we are talking about dessert. By that I mean I have done some research and tried to create the sexiest dessert of all time. Why? Well, why not, right? Basically, I researched what the sexiest ingredients were, and I tried to take some of them, put them together, and make them into a delicious dessert. So I have created this pineapple fig upside down cake. I'm wearing a pineapple colored velvet swimsuit because why not, right? Basically, in my research of the sexiest ingredients, I actually discovered that, well, pineapple has some interesting effects on the body, which I won't get into in this video because I don't want to get demonetized if I haven't already, by being in a swimsuit. But, yeah. Google it if you really want to know what pineapple does to you. And then figs kept coming up as the sexiest food. They actually claim that the sexiest thing a man can do in front of a woman is eat a fig. I don't really think that's true because I think the sexiest thing a man can do does not involve his mouth. It involves something else. That would be his wallet. But that's just me. And I also think back to that episode of Sex and the City when Charlotte was on a date and the guy started eating the fig, and I don't know, I didn't really find that to be all that sexy, but you know what? To each your own. So I actually did a variation on a recipe that I found online for a pineapple fig upside down cake, and I actually used Swerve vanilla cake because Swerve is actually supposed to be lower in sugar. They're not sponsoring this video. Nobody's sponsoring this video. But I know for me personally, if I eat something that is too sugar spiked, I end up crashing and getting really lethargic, and lethargy and romance do not go together. They're kind of counteractive. So I liked the idea of a dessert that was, it still tasted sweet, but it was lower glycemic, so you didn't get like the sugar spikes. And Swerve is also supposed to be really good on digestion. I know everybody probably reacts to it differently, but in general, it's supposed to be really easily digestible. And I know that that's not a sexy thing to talk about, but yeah, if your digestion ain't working properly, sexy time probably ain't happening. Or it might, but it probably won't go well. I've actually not tasted this dessert yet, so if you want to see my first impression reaction to how this dessert tastes, then stay tuned to the end of the video. But if you want to see how I made this pineapple fig upside down cake, then just keep watching. Okay, so I'm starting out the recipe the way it was originally intended. They actually have a note that you can use canned pineapple, so I am using pineapple chunks. And I've drained and I saved the juices because I'm going to use that later. That's another alternative that I'm making. I've got my figs, which have been stemmed and quartered. I use golden figs. It says in the recipe you can use either, and I've actually never worked with golden figs before, so I thought I would give those a try. And they call for brown sugar. I am using the Swerve brown sugar. So I'm going to actually put this all in a skillet and cook it up. I'm basically following the exact directions of the original recipe, which I will link below. Okay, so this is the fruit mixture. Not all that appetizing now, but I think it'll look better. I actually strained it, and I thought there would be way more juice, so I strained it into a container that is way too big. But this is the cooked fruit mixture, and you strain it, and you set this aside. And then I'm gonna put the juices that drain out of here, although there's not that much, back in the original skillet, and I'm gonna cook that until it's thickened. So after about 4 minutes, I actually took the rest of the liquid, which was not much, from this mixture that would drained out. See, there's really nothing there now. I took the rest of it and put it back in the skillet. It's still cooking in the skillet. There's really not much liquid there, as you can see, although it's a little dark, and I think it's actually steaming now. Because yeah, there's just not much liquid, so I'm not going to cook this for too long. I'm actually going to turn it down a little bit. I don't know if it's because I used the Swerve brown sugar that it didn't get quite as liquidy. I'm not really sure exactly, but we're going to go with this. So I'm just going to cook this up here. And so when that's thickened, which it probably is already, I'm actually going to take it off the heat, and then I'm gonna add butter, or I'm using ghee because that's what I had on hand. I've actually pre-measured this. I'm using the measurements from the original recipe, which will be linked below. And then I am using some vanilla, just like the recipe. So I'm just gonna add it to that off the heat so it doesn't burn, mix it together, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I prepared a cake pan. You're supposed to use a 9-inch cake pan. I only have an 8-inch, so that will have to do. They actually say to prepare it to just spray the bottom, but I actually put a layer of parchment and I sprayed. I actually want to mention the spray that I use. It's not ideal for cooking, but I'm soy free, and this is one of the only food sprays I've found that doesn't actually contain soy in it. So this is what I use for most of my cooking. Okay, so this is the closest that I could come to spreading this on the bottom of the pan, but it's like butter, and then it's basically vanilla and the brown sugar alternative, and you know, juices and stuff. So like, this is all good stuff, and it's probably all just gonna melt when you bake it. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. I feel like if I were to do this recipe again, and I can't guarantee you this would work because I haven't tried it, but I feel like if you just mix this all together, like didn't drain it, mix the butter together, you know, with the vanilla and everything, with the fruit, and put it down, I feel like that would be just as good, if not better. So I'm gonna try it this way, but I feel like if I do this recipe again, I would change some things, but I'll make some notes at the bottom if I think that there's things that I would change. And I'm still letting the fruit mixture set aside, but they say that any juices that come out, which again are not much, to just leave and not worry about it. So fruit mixture is still sitting. I have preheat my oven. Man, that looks dusty now that I'm filming it. But yeah, I've preheated my oven, and it is actually preheated. The buzzer's gone off, so whenever I'm ready, it's ready. Now for the cake, instead of using the cake recipe that they have, I'm going to use my Swerve Sweet Vanilla Cake Mix. I'm going to do the recipe on the back of the box, basically the way that it is. I've already added 3 eggs, and I've also added some oil, which I use safflower oil, but instead of the water, I'm going to use 1/3 cup of the pineapple juice. I actually used this when I made my hummingbird cake, which I think I have a recipe on my blog for. I'm not positive, but I will link it if I do. But I used pineapple juice in place of the water in that recipe. It made the cake really moist, so I'm gonna see how it works just doing the pineapple juice in the cake this way. Give it a nice little kick. Plus, it's mostly water anyway, just pineapple flavored water. And then, of course, I also added some vanilla. Okay, so next I spread the set aside fruit in an even layer on the bottom of the pan, trying to get it into as much of a single layer across the pan as I possibly can. It actually smells really good. Okay, so now I have poured my batter into the pan. I actually tapped it a few times to get rid of some of the air bubbles. And ooh, there's a little air bubble there, so I guess I didn't get rid of all of them, but whatever, I like a bubbly cake. Bubbles are good. So yeah, I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and then I'm gonna bake it. I'm gonna start the timer for the time that the cake mix uses, which is actually quite a bit less than what the original recipe uses for their cake, but I'm gonna start with this. I actually do find in the past when I've made Swerve Sweet Vanilla cakes that I've had to leave it in for quite a bit longer, but I'm always gonna check it at the time that they say, and then just go from there. Okay, so I took this out of the oven. I actually left it in for quite a bit longer. You just wanna make sure that you check it. I have a little thing that I stick in to test and make sure that it comes out clean. But you know, you can just stick like a fork or knife or something, make sure it comes out clean. I actually was informed that I actually should have put this on the middle rack and not the top rack, and it would have cooked better. Whatever, you live, you learn. That was just a lecture from my daughter of a home ec teacher mother. But yeah, I'm gonna try flipping this over and see how it looks. Okay, so I flipped it over out of the pan. I actually ran a knife along the edge of the pan, took it out, and then I peeled off the parchment. It came out actually very easily. I let it cool for a little bit longer than the 10 minutes that it said. Probably more like 20 minutes or maybe a little bit more than that. But yeah, I think this looks super, super yummy. And now, the moment of truth. I don't know if I can hold the camera and do this at the same time. I think I might have to get my tripod. Hang on. Okay, so full disclosure, I actually had to make this cake a couple days ago, and I took some pictures of it, but then I had to put it in the fridge before I could taste test it because I ran out of time and I ran out of lighting. So this has been sitting in my fridge for a couple days, and it does seem to have hardened, like just the top layer, not the actual cake. I don't know what it tasted like when I first made it, but it obviously wasn't as like hard a top. I'm so gonna get demonetized in this video. But anyway, I'm going to taste test this for the first time. Yeah, the top definitely did harden, but this is good. It's not like, if you're used to really overly sweet desserts, this may not taste sweet enough for you. I don't know if this would technically be considered keto. It's definitely lower carb because the cake is lower carb, but there's obviously carbs in the pineapple and the pineapple juice that I added to the cake, and in the figs. But yeah, the pineapple and fig taste really good together. I used golden figs just because aesthetically I thought that would look nicer. I've made this cake in a couple different versions and a couple different recipes. Adding the pineapple juice to it, it doesn't taste overly pineapple in the cake, but I made a hummingbird cake with this cake mix. I think I have the recipe on my Instagram stories. But if you want to see me make a video where I actually make a hummingbird cake with this cake mix, it came out super moist and super delicious. And I used pineapple juice in that as well, but there were other things in it. But I really find the pineapple juice gives this cake a nice moistness because it is a gluten-free cake. It is like a low carb cake, so they can tend to be a little dry. It's not quite as moist as if you were to make like a regular box cake mix. It's good. I like this cake. But I find when you add a little bit of pineapple juice to it, like in place of the water, it's just really moist. Again, it's not overly sweet. So if you're used to like a really sickly sweet dessert, this may not be for you. I've kind of weaned myself off of a lot of sugar, so I actually prefer desserts that aren't like in your face sweet. Top layer a little chewy. I don't mind it, and I don't know if that is the fig or the pineapple. I'm guessing it's probably the fig. Okay, this is just turning into like, I'm gonna call it mukbang or something videos where I'm just gonna sit here and devour this because this is so good. Yeah, I could definitely see this being a romantic dessert. Could possibly get you in the mood for something. This is perfect for a romantic night in with Netflix and myself. It's my life, people. And I'm making a mess. Anyway, I have to put this down. So I made this video because I had a few requests to do cooking videos. I don't have a super great kitchen setup for actually doing a lot of cooking videos, but I used to do recipes on my blog Everyday Starlet when I first started it, like before I was really doing a lot of YouTube videos. And I do recipes occasionally on my Instagram, and I wanted to kind of test it out here on YouTube and see if you guys were into it. Because I actually do really like taking kind of like comfort foods, regular foods, and kind of making them a little bit healthier, a little bit lower carb. Healthy is kind of a fuzzy term. Making them a little bit more macro friendly, maybe is the word. Getting a lot of cleavage. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that got me demonetized, I'm sure it did. So if you have any, hopefully I don't have anything in my teeth. If you have any recipes that you'd like to see, any things you'd like to see me make like a healthier version of or a lower carb version of, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Any other videos, DIYs, any suggestions, whatever, leave them in the comment section below. Although keep it clean, please. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. I'm used to holding the camera in my hand and not having it be in a tripod lately, so I don't know what to do with my hands. Vogue, 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 Vogue. And honestly, I have personally found that choosing healthier foods, foods that are easy to digest, foods that are lower in sugar, that don't give me a sugar spike, just choosing foods that feel better in my body is the ultimate form of self-care, and it has just been a huge part of my process in learning to love myself and learning to take care of myself, and also learning to love my body. Yes, I have found that I am in better shape and that I look better overall when I make choices like that, but really it's about how I feel from within, and that's really what radiates on the outside. So I know that you need to enjoy the foods that you love, but I would encourage you to just take some time and pay attention to foods that feel good in your body and foods that don't, and maybe choose to eat more foods that feel good in your body and less foods that don't feel good in your body. And I guarantee you, you will feel a million times better, not just in the way you look, but in the way you feel. And that's made a huge change for me. And so I hope this video inspired you to, you know, I don't know, maybe take a look at the things that you're eating and the choices you make and realize that you don't have to give up nice, sweet, delicious desserts in the name of being healthy and feeling good. So if you want to be an everyday starlet, be sure you hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you join me next time.